Confession. The wine glass trembled slightly in Elena's hand as she sat across from me at our dining table. We'd been married for 6 years, and I knew every micro expression that crossed her face. Tonight, something was different. Not guilt, but something closer to anticipation. David, I need to tell you something, she said, her voice steady. I've been sleeping with James. James, my best friend since college, the guy who had been best man at our wedding, who came over every Sunday to watch football, who Alina had always claimed annoyed her with his terrible jokes. I set down my fork carefully, the sound of metal on ceramic unnaturally loud in our suddenly small kitchen. My heart hammered against my ribs, but I kept my face neutral. Years of practicing law had taught me the power of silence. For how long? I asked quietly. 6 months. She took a sip of wine, watching me over the rim. Maybe longer. I wasn't keeping track. 6 months? Half a year of lies? Half a year of him sitting on my couch, drinking my beer, slapping my shoulder while secretly tangling himself in my sheets? The betrayal carved through me like a blade, but I didn't flinch. Say something, Elena. Elena demanded, leaning forward. Her dark eyes flashed with something I couldn't quite name. Yell. Throw something. Do something, David. I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I would promised forever to, the woman who would walk down the aisle in white lace, crying tears of joy, the woman who now sat before me with her confession like a weapon. What do you want me to say? I asked evenly. She laughed, sharp and bitter. I want you to react like a normal person. I just told you I've been fucking your best friend, and you're sitting here like we're discussing the weather? Would you prefer I hit something? Break things? I'd prefer you show me you actually care. She slammed her glass down, red wine sloshing onto the white tablecloth like blood. Do you even love me anymore, David? Are you too busy with your precious cases to notice your wife? There it was, the justification. The groundwork she'd been laying to make this somehow my fault. I'm going upstairs, I said, standing slowly. My legs felt disconnected from my body, moving on autopilot. That's it? Elena's voice rose, frustrated. You are just going to walk away? I paused at the doorway, looking back at her. She looked almost disappointed, as if my calm reaction had ruined something she'd been anticipating. What else is there to say tonight? You could fight for us. For me, she stood too, her chair scraping loudly. Or you could do what you really want to do. Divorce me. I dare you, David. I fucking dare you to actually do something for once instead of hiding behind that mask of yours. I felt something settle in my chest, cold and final. Okay, I said simply, and walked away upstairs. Behind me, I heard her furious gasp, then the sound of glass shattering against the wall. The quiet moves. I didn't sleep that night, while Elena crashed in the guest room. I sat in my office with my laptop, the blue light washing over my face in the darkness. My hands were steady as I typed, though my insides churned like a storm-tossed sea. First, I opened my secure cloud storage and began organizing files, bank statements, property deeds, investment portfolios, email receipts, everything we'd built together now transformed into evidence and assets to be divided. At 3 a.m., I drafted an email to Michelle Chen, the best family law attorney in the city, and notably not someone from my own firm. Michelle, I need to discuss representation in a divorce matter. This is time sensitive and confidential. Available to meet tomorrow? When dawn broke, gray and cold through the windows, I'd already made a dozen quiet moves. I documented everything I could remember. Dates, James, had been over. times Elena had worked late, the sudden password on her phone 6 months ago, and that I noticed but had questions. Elena emerged around 8, looking exhausted but defiant. She found me in the kitchen making coffee, still wearing yesterday's clothes. You look terrible, she said, pouring herself a cup. Didn't sleep much. She studied me over the rim of her mug. So are you going to take my dare? I'm considering my options. Your options? She laughed. Humorlessly, David, you realize half of everything is mine, right? The house, your precious savings account, your investment, your properties, your divorce. You lose half of what you worked for. I'm aware of community property laws. And you're okay with that? With giving me hundreds of thousands of dollars because I made a mistake? A mistake she called 6 months of deliberate deception. A mistake. Is it still happening? Asked instead of answering. With James? Her pause told me everything. Does it matter? Answer the question, Elena. Yes, she sat down her mug with a sharp click. Yes, it's still happening. He makes me feel alive, David. He makes me feel wanted. When was the last time you looked at me like I was more than just another fixture in your perfect controlled life? The accusation stung because there was a grain of truth in it. I had been working for long hours. I had been distant. But that didn't justify this. I have a disposition today. I have a deposition today, I said, rising my mug. I'll be home late. Of course you will. Her voice dripped with scorn, running away like always. I grabbed my briefcase and headed for the door. As I reached it, I turned back. Elena stood in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, beautiful and cruel in the morning light. For what it's worth, I said quietly, I did love you very much. Her face flickered with something, surprise, maybe regret, but I didn't stay to analyze it. The deposition was a lie. Instead, I met Michelle in his office, a sleek space of glass and steel overlooking the city. He listened without interruption as I laid out everything, his expression carefully neutral. You want to move quickly, he said when I finished. Yes. And you want to protect your assets as much as possible. Mitchell leaned back in his leather chair. David, I have to ask, are you certain about this? 6 years of marriage and you are ready to end it after one night. I thought about Elena's face as she confessed, the challenge in her eyes, the dare. She didn't confess to end things or come clean, I said. She confessed to hurt me, to provoke me. This wasn't guilt, it was power play that went wrong. All right, Mitchell. Mitchell pulled out a legal pad. Let's get started. The unraveling 3 days passed in tense silence. Elena and I moved through the house like ghosts, occupying the same space but existing in different worlds. She kept me waiting for my explosion, for rage, for confrontation, for drama. Instead, I gave her quiet mornings and polite distance. On Thursday evening, James showed up unannounced. I heard his familiar knock, 2 quick raps, then 3, and felt my stomach twist. Elena was upstairs, and I could hear her hurried footsteps as she rushed down to answer. I stayed in the living room, file folders spread across the coffee table, as if I were working. Through the doorway, I watched Elena's open the door, saw James' easy smile falter when he saw her expression. What are you doing here? She hissed, low enough she thought I couldn't hear. You weren't answering your phone. I was worried. His voice carried the same casual confidence it always had. Is David here? He's in the living room. So, you told him, right? Isn't that what you wanted? The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. She'd wanted me to know. She'd orchestrated the whole confection, probably expecting me to throw James out, to fight him, to give her the dramatic confrontation that would justify whatever she'd been planning next. James, I called out, keeping my voice level. Come in. Alina's face went pale. James stepped in, his smile uncertain. He was tall, athletic, with a kind of easy charm that had always made him popular. Looking at him now, I wondered how I would never seen it. The way his eyes lingered on Elena, the casual touches I dismissed as friendly. David, man, he started. How long have you been in love with her? I interrupted, standing up. The question caught him off guard. His mouth opened, closed. Elena stood frozen in the doorway, because it's obvious now. I continued walking closer. Looking back, it's all obvious. The way you always made excuses to come over. How you'd find reasons to text her. I was so fucking blind. David, I never meant. You never meant to what? Sleep with my wife? Because you definitely meant to do that. My voice remained calmed and quiet, which seemed to unsettle him more than shouting would have. Multiple times for 6 months. I love her, James said, lifting his chin. I loved her for years, since before you two got married. Elena made a small sound, surprise or fear, I couldn't tell. And you? I turned to my wife. Did you love him? Or was he just convenient? Don't put this all on me, she snapped, finding her voice. You were never here, David. You chose your career over me every single time. So your solution was to choose my best friend? I chose someone who actually saw me. The argument spiraled from there, accusations and justifications, old wounds torn open. James stood uselessly in the middle, realizing perhaps that he'd been a pawn in whatever game Elena had been playing with our marriage. Finally, I held up my hand. Enough, James. I want you out of my house. Elena, we need to talk. Alone. James looked at Elena. Who wouldn't meet his eyes? Something passed between them, the first crack in their united front. Elena, he said softly. Just go, she whispered. After he left, Elena turned to me with tears streaming down her face. David, I filed for a divorce. I said calmly, you'll be served with papers tomorrow. Her tears stopped. You dare to divorce you? So I am. You can't be serious. I thought you would fight for us. Fight for us? I laughed. The sound bitter and broken. Elena, there is no us no more. You made sure of that. My lawyer will be in touch, I said and walked out of my own living room, leaving her standing there. The strategic play the next 2 weeks revealed everything I needed to know about who Elena really was. The papers were served on Friday morning by a professional process server. I was at the office when my phone exploded with calls and texts from her, progressing from shock to anger to bargaining. You fucking coward. One text read, you can't even face me yourself. Another, we can work through this. I made a mistake. Don't throw away 6 years. And finally, you're going to regret this when I take everything. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I focused on what I did, best building a case. Mitchell had been through. With my documentation and his expertise, we already established a clear timeline of the affair. But I wanted more than just a divorce. I wanted protection. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source on Tuesday. James called me. David, we need to talk. I don't think we have anything to discuss. Please just meet me for coffee one time. Then I'll leave you alone. James looked haggard, his usual confidence dimmed. I fucked up, he said without preamble. I know this does not fix anything, but I needed to hear it. I'm listening. She's been planning this. The affair, the confession, all of it. She showed me the prenup you guys signed. She's been looking for a way out to maximize what she gets. She thought if you caught us, if you initiated the divorce in anger, she could claim emotional damages or some shit. Her lawyer told her she'd have better leverage if you were the one who pulled the trigger while emotionally compromised. The coffee in my mouth turned bitter. She told you this. Not at first. At first, it was all about how unhappy she was, how you didn't appreciate her. But after you filed, she started talking about strategy, about how to position herself. David, she's been documenting things too, taking pictures of you working late, saving emails where you cancel plans. She's building a narrative that you were an absent, neglectful husband, which gave her justification to cheat. Exactly. James looked genuinely miserable. I thought she loved me. I thought we were going to be together after this, but she's been pulling back since you filed. Suddenly, I'm a mistake again. Suddenly, she's the victim, both of us. I processed the information, the lawyer part of my brain cataloging everything. He showed me the records over the past 8 months, starting even before the affair with James. Alina had been siphoning off funds, nothing massive enough to trigger alerts, but consistent enough to add up nearly $40,000. She's been preparing for this for almost a year. I said the realization settling like lead in my stomach. It appears so. I thought about our last anniversary. She'd seemed happy. We'd gone for a favorite restaurant, spent the weekend at a bed and breakfast in a wine country. She told me loved. She told me she loved me, all while planning her exit. The resolution. The divorce proceedings moved faster than Alina expected. With James' testimony, documentation of the affair, and evidence of her financial maneuvering, her position crumbled. Her lawyer, a sharp woman named Patricia Harding, tried to pivot the neglectful husband narrative, but it gained no traction. In the settlement conference, Alina sat across from me, looking brittle and furious. Gone was the confident woman who dared me to divorce her. In her place was someone concerned and desperate. You have systematically destroyed my life, she hissed during a break, while our lawyers reviewed documents in another room. I did nothing except respond to your actions. You were supposed to fight for me. You were supposed to care for me. There was nothing left to save. You made sure of that. I made a mistake. You made a series of calculated decisions over almost a year. That's not a mistake. That's a betrayal of everything we promised each other. She laughed bitterly. And you're so perfect? You think your cold, analytical approach to everything doesn't have consequences? You think I didn't feel invisible in our marriage? If you felt invisible, you should have talked to me. You should have given me a chance to change. Instead, you decided to blow it all up and try to profit from the wreckage. I loved you. That's what makes it so fucking sad. The final settlement gave me more than expected, but less than I had hoped. Alina got the guest house we bought as an investment property and a portion of our savings. I kept the main house, my investment accounts, and most importantly, my reputation intact. The divorce was finalized on a great Tuesday in March. I signed the papers in Mitchell's office, my hand steady despite the surreal nature of ending a marriage with my signature. How do you feel? Mitchell asked afterward. Like I've been holding my breath for months and can finally exhale. That evening, I drove to the overlook of the north side of the city where Lena and I had gone on our first date. The sun was settling, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose. I sat on the hood of my car, let myself feel everything I'd been holding back: grief, anger, relief, exhaustion. I deleted the messages without responding. Another text, this time from my sister Caroline. Heard the divorce is final? Wanna come over for drinks and dinner? Kids, Mr. Uncle. I'll be there, I typed back. As I drove to Carolina's house in the suburbs, I thought about Elena's dare. She gambled about I'd react with emotion rather than strategy. She underestimated the man she married, the one who could compartmentalize, who could plan, who could endure pain without showing it. The divorce wasn't entirely her fault, even if the betrayal was. You've been so calm through all of this, too calm maybe. I had to be. If I'd let myself react the way I wanted to, I'd have made mistakes. And now I can start figuring out who I am without her, without the marriage, without the hurt. For what it's worth, Caroline said. That night, alone in the house that was now solely mine. I walked through rooms that felt different without Elena's presence. In the bedroom, I stripped the sheets she'd slept on and replaced them with new ones. A small ritual reclaiming my space. I thought about her dare one last time. She dared me to divorce her, confident I wouldn't, or that if I did, I'd do it poorly, emotionally in ways she could exploit. The victory felt hollow, because winning a divorce wasn't really winning anything. It was just surviving with the least amount of damage possible. But survival, I was learning, it was in its own strength. As I lay in bed the first night alone, truly alone, without the weight of my secrets and lies and legal battles pressing down on me, I felt something unexpected. The marriage was over. The betrayal had cut deep. But I was still here, still standing, still capable of building something new from the ruins. Elena had dared me to divorce her, expecting it to break me. Instead, it freed me. And that I realized was the best revenge of all. Not anger or bitterness, but the quiet strength to walk away and build a better life. Without her, the dare had been a test I'd never asked for. But I would pass it. And now, finally, I could begin again.